Hey guys, 5.2 is where we're at here. Chapter 5, Section 2 if you're in our class using our textbook. Big essential question of this video is what is another way to find a point of intercept? And to be honest, this is going to be a 2-video series. We're going to intro something and then finish it up in the second video. So let's dive into what we're going to be doing here. So we're going to start making some connections, some more connections to things outside of our classroom, kind of what we often call in math a story problem, but like a situation that we need to solve. And we're going to go about it a couple different ways. So we're going to be doing one example in this video, and here is our story. Our story is about Alice and Bob. And Alice and Bob have 100 songs on iTunes together. If Bob bought 3 times as many songs as Alice, how many songs did each buy? Sounds like a really traditional math question, to be totally honest. But the reason I'm using this one is because it's a fairly simple problem. Here, I'm going to make some space on the screen. I'm guessing there's a lot of you right now who have already real quickly ran some numbers in your head and maybe have figured out the answer to this question. And that's great. I purposely picked a really easy one where we could figure it out in our head. But what I want to do is I'm going to use this as an example of more complicated ones later on that we're going to be doing that you can't do in your head that don't work. So one strategy is we could take this problem and we could just do what you're doing in your head. We can make some guesses and find the answer. We call that guess and check. But if we do that, you know we have to organize it and make it look nice. So here's what we've got. We've got Alice and we've got Bob. And together they've got 100 songs on iTunes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to build this into a table with 3 sections. And we're going to make some guesses for how many songs Alice and Bob have. I'm going to go kind of random and make a guess. But first, let's look at the facts. Alice and Bob have 100 songs, and Bob bought 3 times as many songs as Alice. That's pretty crucial, 3 times as many. So if Alice bought 30 songs, let's write 30 in our table. What that means is Bob bought 30 times 3. He bought 3 times that. So 30 times 3, 3 times 3 is 9, so it'd be 90. So Bob bought 90 songs. Now this is just my guess, but if it's 30 and 90 and we put that together, 30 plus 90 is 120. And that's too big. Alice and Bob have 100 songs together, not 120. So we did a good guess, but based on the fact that they're supposed to have 100 songs, this is too high. So what we do is we guess again. Let's go lower. Instead of 30 for Alice, let's drop that number down, make a guess that's a little lower. How about 25? Bob has 3 times as many as Alice. So we're going to take 25 and times it by 3. 25 times 3 is 75. And we're going to put those together, and I think we've got our solution, don't we? 25 plus 75 is 100. Right on. We figured it out. There's our correct answer. Now, I said that I bet a lot of you guys figured out the answer in your head before we even started doing our work. And like I said, that's great. But this is a way of organizing that thought process onto paper, with using your paper and pencil to show somebody else that's reading your work what you're doing. So I'm trying to organize it nicely. I'm trying to make my table have good labels, Alice, Bob, together. I'm trying to show clearly, I'm trying to circle the answer and show that clearly. But there's actually one more flaw in my table. To have a really good guess and check table, you typically should have 3 guesses or more. Have you ever done a guess and check problem where you have like 20 guesses because it took you so long to figure it out? That can happen sometimes. This is a really small guess and check table. And if somebody was grading my work and they didn't know me, they might think like, oh, wow, did she get lucky? Or, oh, do you think she copied the answer from her neighbor? They might be kind of doubting me, like, oh, we're not totally sure she gets it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw in a 3rd guess. I know I already have the answer, but I'm going to put a 3rd one in the table. So I'm going to pick something that I know is wrong. I'm going to say 10 songs for Alice. And for Bob, I'll have to multiply that by 3. And 10 times 3 is 30. Now I know this doesn't work because I know 10 plus 30 is 40, and that's way too low. But the reason I'm doing that is so now in my table, I've got 3 guesses. And now if somebody graded my work, they'd probably look at the evidence and say, oh yeah, this person gets it. I understand how they're thinking and how they're guessing and how they get it that it's too high and too low, and right here's the answer. But I'm not totally done. I'm going to zoom out here. My work's really organized. It looks nice, and I hope yours does in your notebook too that you're writing this down in. But I need a sentence. I need to put a statement that shows that I know what I'm talking about. So here's what I'm going to write. To answer the question, Alice has 25 songs. I know this because Bob has 3 times more, which makes 75, and a total of 100 songs. I just want someone to read my work and know, like, I really get this. So my sentence is kind of that, like, cherry on top. It's the last little piece that I want to make this perfect. So Alice has 25 songs. I know this because Bob has 3 times more, which makes 75, and a total of 100 songs. Now my work is really clear. To be honest, I could step back and look at the table and the sentence, and probably someone would think, like, wow, she's really got this down. She understands guess and check. So a little note, we're going to put some things down in our notebook. Guess and check strategy. First off, the table is like your evidence. It's your proof that you know what you're doing, because a lot of people like to guess and check in their head, which is fine if you're like in the middle of a store and you're kind of on the spot figuring something out. But in math class, we like to show evidence and show proof. So the table is your evidence. You should have at least 3 guesses. So if you get lucky, like I've seen it sometimes where somebody's first guess is the right answer, don't stop there. Make up 2 more guesses that are wrong just to show your thought process. And then other times I've seen people make tables with 10 or 20 guesses because it takes a long time, those harder problems, and that's totally normal. And then also, circling your answer and making it clear is pretty important, because if you have a table with like 20 guesses in it, but you don't circle any of them, then the person grading your work is like, well, which one's the right answer? What did they think? So make it clear and write a sentence. That's the, like I said, the cherry on top. Put a sentence and make an explanation for this. Now, my wrap up to this first video is guess and check a good method? Is it a good method? Well, I don't know what you're thinking, but my answer is kind of yes and no. For this problem with Alice and Bob, totally. I think guess and check was a quick and fast method. But like I said, sometimes there's those guess and check problems where you're guessing and guessing and guessing and it's just taking forever. Or maybe it's a guess and check problem where the answer is going to be a decimal, and trying to guess decimals is not easy. So this is where the algebra is going to come into play. We're going to, in the next video, take this problem to the next level. We're going to continue the Alice and Bob problem, but we're going to solve it a second way without guess and check. An algebraic way that is another way that might be faster than making the table. Not always, but sometimes. So look forward to that in the next video, and I hope this will all make some good connections for you. Bye guys, see you later.